Good morning. Wow, that was good. Welcome to the 10th annual March Madness. Now, really quickly, can you raise your hand if this is your first time with us at March Madness? First timers. Amazing. Has anyone been here for all 10 March Madnesses? There you go. Well, listen, if you're first time, if you've been here for 10 times, welcome. This is DemPed's signature event of the year. This is where we talk about progress, opportunities that we have, and it's just an enormous amount of effort to bring anyone here. So I want to thank a couple people really quick at the top. One, Allison McKithen. Can you raise your hand really quick? Allison McKithen at the Reagan Building here is hosting us today. Give a warm round of applause. And it takes a village. A lot of the DemPed family is here, and I want to thank the DemPed team just for putting this together, a lot of our interagency partners, and especially one person in particular, Mary Ogba-Reardon, who is leading the team here in this effort, bringing us all together. Thank you very much. My name is Ben Mendez. I'm the interim chief of staff at DemPed. And today, when you see me up here, it's going to mean two different things. One, I only get a minute, which Mary has worked into the program, and Tariq is going to remind me every time. And two, whenever you see me, that means someone more interesting is coming up next. If you've seen the agenda, if you've seen what we're going to talk through today, it's a lot. It's a lot of opportunities. It's a lot of panels talking about where we're going, where we've been, and what we're kind of doing at DemPed and across the agency. And so I'm going to get right into the show right now and introducing someone, and please go easy on her. It's her first time at DemPed's March Madness. She's my boss, and she's our deputy mayor, Nina Albert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Ben, for kicking us off. Welcome to March Madness, everybody. As Ben said, this is the 10th March Madness. I think this year's a little extra special for a couple different reasons. One, DC is hosting the ACC men's basketball tournament this week. UNC Tar Heels are number one. My alma mater, go Heels. It is my first March Madness, and the agenda is jam-packed. We are going to have a morning of discussion. We're going to have a morning of networking information about opportunities in all 8 wards. So to kick things off, I also have to thank a few people. And I also have to introduce a kick-ass women's-led team in the DemPed cluster. It is also International Women's Month. And so I think it's only fitting that I introduce Director Anita Cozart from the Office of Planning, Director Colleen Green from the Department of Housing and Community Development, Director Latoya Foster from the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, and last but not least, Acting Director Rosemary Suggs-Evans in the Department of Small and Local Business Development. We are working across DC government to ensure that our future is strong, from business development to job creation, to housing affordability, and to thriving neighborhoods. Given that there are multiple macro trends affecting our economy, many beyond our control, like telework, inflation-related cost increases, and other, the question on everybody's mind is, what is the district's approach to pivoting, competing, and winning for our businesses and for our residents? We know that we have an inherently unique brand in that we are and will always be the nation's capital. We are also the global capital of the free world. We know that we have distinctly strong higher education and medical sectors, both of which continue to grow at pace. So feds, meds, and eds are still foundational in our economic future. When I think about what our challenges are before us and what the existential questions are, which are broader than just what economic sectors we're going into, I think about what is the future of a high-cost city like Washington, D.C. Because the challenges before us are that now people have choice. They can live somewhere else that's lower cost and still have access to the job that's placed in Washington, D.C. So how do we remain competitive in a world where people can live almost anywhere and still take advantage of accessing what D.C. has to offer? So when I think about the uniqueness of cities like Washington, D.C., and by the way, we are on par with cities like London and Paris and Shanghai. We are a global city. In the United States, we are competing with Boston and New York and San Francisco. We also compete regionally, as we all know. So what is it that's going to bring people to DC, both residents and businesses, and allow us to remain competitive? Well, I think that high-cost cities, that dynamic cities like Washington, have high-skilled talent. It's where it gravitates, and that's why businesses want to be here. We have cultural and entertainment experiences that abound, that you can't get anywhere else. And diversity in DC is part of our identity, and people want to be around that authentic place. And our job is to intentionally execute and deliver along 4 primary pillars that will allow us to remain competitive for years to come. These align with the mayor's comeback goals, and we are setting ourselves up for a future of continued prosperity. So let's get right to it. The first pillar. We are focused on recruiting, expanding, and retaining high-growth industries that are attracted to coming here because of our high-skilled talent. DC's 7 major universities, Georgetown, Catholic, American, UDC, Howard, Gallaudet, GW, they are all growing and they are thriving. And so it is our job to hang on to that talent and make sure that they have jobs here in DC once they graduate. I didn't even mention, by the way, Johns Hopkins University. I didn't mention the access right across the border to University of Maryland, Virginia Tech, and others in the region. I mean, we are a concentration in this city and in this region for high-skilled talent. I also want to point out something that I think if you're from this DC community, you don't think about that much. I was actually, I'll just say it for myself, I was shocked by this number. So Forbes, just earlier this week, cited Washington, D.C., not the region, Washington, D.C., as the #1 tech hub in the United States, above Austin, above San Francisco, and above others that you would think are the leaders in tech. So we employ 7% of our employee base is tech-based. That is higher than any other city in the country. And that's why businesses are coming here, among other things. So we want to leverage the competitive advantage that we know we have inherently. It's an asset now to target industries that require and want access to that high-skilled talent. So the second pillar that I think is our economic imperative is to ensure that housing is priced for all runs of the income spectrum. And by the way, this is not only good for people, but it is also part of what is going to allow us to continue to economically thrive. Because businesses are chasing talent, and talent is living where they can afford to live. And so we need to do it because it's the right thing to do, but we also need to do it because we do it to remain competitive. So if people can't afford to live here, this goes without saying, whether you're a recent college grad or whether you're working in one of those high growth sectors, or if you're a government employee, or by the way, if you're a nonprofit employee, which is the 2nd largest employer in this city. If you're a teacher, if you're starting a family, or other, you want and we want you to be able to live in Washington. So fortunately, Mayor Bowser is a national leader in affordable housing production. We are nearing our goals of 36,000 new housing units by 2025, and a third of that goal is affordable housing. In our region alone, DC has produced 50% of all of the new affordable housing units in this region under Mayor Bowser's leadership. I think that deserves a clap, my goodness. That's our commitment. That will continue to be our commitment, and we look forward to setting the next set of goals that represents the strong housing agenda in our future, because it is imperative, as I said, to both our economy and to our community. So, what is the other competitive advantage that we in the district have that other cities cannot deliver, or that only special cities can deliver? And what it is the opportunity to deliver an extraordinary entertainment experience. I will travel to New York pretty regularly, just even for the weekend, because I want an experience. I will travel to LA or San Francisco or the Pacific Northwest because I want a feeling or an experience. So people come and travel to DC. They usually, as you saw in the video, love to do the tour of the White House, the Capitol, the Library of Congress. But the question is, will they stay in DC after they've done that tour? Because I think, what we have to offer is, again, unspoken. It's something that if you're only here locally that you know about, and we need to continue to celebrate. We have the second most theaters in the country, second only to New York. Is that unbelievable? Did you know that? You didn't know that. Get to know the real DC. We have 25 Michelin star restaurants throughout this city, across the entire city, in all of the wards. We have music, we have nightlife, we have an unparalleled waterfront where one can experience shopping in historic Georgetown, meditate and wander through at the edge of the tidal basin, listen to live music, and swing on a pier at the wharf. You can watch a soccer game, you can watch a baseball game, and you can experience a world-class arboretum and aquatic garden. This is all along DC's waterfront, and it is now part of our ecosystem, not a separate neighborhood that you would go to. It's readily available to our residents and to our visitors. So we are reimagining Gallery Place Chinatown because it is part of our future identity and commitment to being a world-class destination that invites people to get to know the real DC. And just wait and anticipate that in 2025, DC is hosting World Pride. When New York hosted World Pride, they had 3 million visitors come to this city. We are already an inclusive city, and with World Pride, I think we can open our arms to the world. And then, in 2026, is the 250th anniversary of our country. And where else are you going to come to celebrate the birthday of our country? Here in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. So we've got a lot on the horizon, and this is more of what we're trying to lean into. And then last but not least, when I think about what is DC's distinct competitive advantage, it is our authentic diversity and commitment to being an inclusive economy. Businesses and entrepreneurs are moving to DC because they are attracted to our inclusive economy. I hear consistently from businesses who are owned by people of color, by women, by veterans who are coming to Washington because their home state, when they tried to expand, didn't really accommodate them or didn't really care. We care and we want you here. And to me, that's a major competitive advantage. And you'll hear from some of our panelists today about why they came to DC, and you'll hear that theme. So how do we build on our identity as a diverse community and a welcoming economy? And how do we be a leader in the nation in this area? We have to break down the glass ceilings to growth for businesses owned by people of color and women. We have to provide more creative solutions to access to capital. And we have to provide technical assistance for startups and support businesses that are trying to get to that next benchmark of growth. That is something that we uniquely can do. We have all of the assets here to be the nation's leader in providing access to capital for businesses of color and owned by women. So you'll hear about our approach today to repositioning our central business district because obviously downtown is an important part for our overall economy. But you'll also hear about what's taking place throughout the city and the investments that DC is making to ensure thriving neighborhoods. So you're going to have a chock-full morning of panels and presentations. You're going to hear folks touch upon all of those topics. And you're also going to hear about the opportunities that the district government has to offer. So with that, I'm going to call up the next panel. No, I'm not. Oh, there's a video. But we're going to kick off and start with tourism and entertainment this morning. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. I want to acknowledge LaToya Foster and our entire team at the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. Are you with me?
The district is a city that's got it all. And our job is to let the world know DC is back.
Lord, I hope and pray they come today.
Want proof that DC is back? Look no further than our film division. More and more filmmakers are choosing to bring major productions to DC, thanks in large part to the success of our Film Rebate Fund.
It's extremely important for any major city to have a competitive rebate or tax incentive program. The impact has been incredible, and filming in the district was through the roof. We had impact into the district of over $50 million, 600 district resident jobs, $600 million in compensation to district residents. A great percentage of those projects were from production companies that are locally based, and many of those are led by African American filmmakers.
Our multi-Emmy award-winning team launched new programs to engage with residents, support our creative economy, and promote our shared DC values. Our creative economy reminds us of who we are and where we came from. In every ward and in every way, our Creative Affairs Office provides support to artists and promotes all the ways they enrich our communities through a wide range of programs and events. Our message to the world is simple. Our city is second to none, and DC is back.
Give it up for OCTFME. Really quick while we keep the show rolling here, if you look around, there are a lot of people in the room. There are a couple more seats up in the front. Don't be shy, make a friend. If you have a seat next to you, please encourage folks to come on forward. And then another announcement, you'll see QR codes are around the room. Every opportunity you hear today, you can get on your phone. There's a link tree to each one of those opportunities you hear about. We're going to get rolling into the next part of the agenda here. I want to bring up to the stage our friend, a member of the Demped family, the director of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, LaToya Foster.
Good morning, everyone. Y'all can do better than that. This is March Madness. We got a big crowd in here. Good morning, everybody. All right, everybody. I am so excited to be here to kick off a full decade of March Madness, Deputy Mayor. Can you believe that? A decade, y'all. That's something to clap about. 10 years of March Madness. We're going to have a lot of fun here today. We have an extremely insightful panel. I like to say it's a friendship circle, too, so we're going to have a lot of fun. So we're going to get ready to get started on tourism and entertainment. I can't think of a better way to kick off March Madness. Would you agree? All right, let's get started. Bring it up because it's Women's Month. It's only right that ladies go first. So... So we're going to kick things off with my sister, friend, and predecessor, Dr. Angie Gates, President and CEO of Events DC. Events DC is the official convention and sports authority for the District of Columbia. The organization is tasked with generating economic and community benefits for DC residents and businesses. And as conventions, meetings, sports, and entertainment industries continue to evolve, Angie is tasked with driving sustainability, innovation, and a thriving tourism economy in DC that will serve as a national model. Give it up for President Gates, everybody. Robin McLean is the Chief Marketing Officer at Destination DC, the official destination marketing organization for our city, the nation's capital. And in her role as the Marketing and Communications Department head, Robin leads Destination DC's efforts to generate interest and visitation to the city while leveraging the latest research, technology, and trends to attract consumers. Robin also introduced the There's Only One DC brand campaign in August of 23 to help further drive visitation to the nation's capital. Give it up for Robin McLean, everybody. All right, Deshaun Townsend. We used to call him Monk. Back in the day, we called him Monk. You'll understand why in a second. Sean is the president and CEO of the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington. Sean spent more than a decade in D.C. government, eventually appointed by Mayor Bowser as the inaugural director of the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture, Monk, where he advised the administration on the issues affecting much of the city's hospitality industry and as a conduit to the business community while identifying engagement opportunities. He was integral in developing districts' strategic hospitality engagement plans pre and post-pandemic, and brings to his role at the Restaurant Association a wealth of knowledge, experience, and contemporary expertise. Give it up for Sean, everybody. And last but not least, we're joined by Solomon King, President and CEO of the Hotel Association of Washington, D.C., the nonprofit association that focuses on supporting the interests of hotels throughout the District of Columbia. Since joining the Hotel Association in 2007, Solomon has dedicated his expertise across a variety of areas, including member services, government affairs, legislative and community affairs, workforce development, labor relations, and communication. Well, you just did it all, didn't you? His work extends to broader community and industry engagement through his participation on several boards. So once again, give our panelists a warm round of applause. We have so many great things to talk about. We're talking about heads and beds and people in seats, everybody, just like this. And a fun fact, because Deputy Mayor, you highlighted Forbes magazine and how they have been taking a really good look at Washington, D.C. and all that we have to offer. Forbes also voted D.C. as one of the top places to live and one of the top 100 cities in the world to visit. But we already knew that, right? We already knew that. So I'm going to move over this way and get started here. Because it's Ladies Month, it's only right that we start with the ladies, and we're bookends. So, so I'm going to start with Dr. Gates to kick things off. So, Dr. Gates, the first question I would have for you is because, you know, you handle a vast, unique portfolio under Events DC. First, tell everybody about who Events DC is, what you do, and how that is impacting our economy.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Events DC is the official convention and sports authority, and simply said, we make DC happen. Right?
That's right. We make DC happen. Let's go.
So we focus each and every day on making DC the first choice in a destination. That is so key and important. But at the end of the day, we stand on the principles of our events: entertain, employ, serve as an economic engine, and elevate everyone. We have 11 venues in our portfolio. We specialize in sports and entertainment, conventions and meetings, and creative services. So let me drop a few figures for you. We hosted over 1 million guests in 2023. We hosted over 436 events. But when you talk about economic impact, we brought in a net economic impact of $450 million. Thank you. And shout out to the Events DC team and OCTFME team. But we make sure that we focus every day to keep our hotels booked, our restaurants busy, and put people to work. So that is our focus. We also make it a point to diversify our portfolio by doing special events as well that's going to bring an economic impact. So we make it happen. As simple as that.
Events DC makes it happen, everybody. You know, I want to go back, Angie, before we go forward, and bring people back a little bit, because we know where we were as a city and how all of us were impacted just 4 years ago, this time 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, and again, I want to bring everybody back, you were my predecessor. You were the director of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment during a really critical time in our city as we were navigating through the pandemic. And during that time, you and Mayor Bowser worked feverishly to identify ways to keep the events community going, to keep the artists going, to keep everyone uplifted, to keep money in their pockets at a time where you couldn't even make money because they couldn't go out, we couldn't do anything. We were all locked down for the most part. Talk about, and now that I think about it, you're headquartered out of the very location where Mayor Bowser had created a hospital in that bottom level for just in case there was overflow. And now here we are today, fast forward 4 years later, navigated out of the pandemic. Can you talk about where we are, the strategies that you have implemented now that you are leading Events DC, and what you learned from the time that you were the director of the Office of Cable Television that you took with you into this new role and the strategies there?
Thank you so much for that question, and a special thank you to our fearless leader, Mayor Bowser, and Deputy Mayor Nina Albert, just for being a trustworthy supporter and component of diversifying what was necessary for us to continue to move forward. One thing that was crucial is going into the realm of virtual. That was so essential. We went from an on-site destination of choice to a virtual destination of choice. And I can speak personally, having gone through Hurricane Katrina and knowing what it's like when resources, possibilities, the ability to move forward, and you just simply can't. You have to first start with taking care of the people and doing what's necessary. So for us, making sure that the resources were there and available, and reclassifying and diversifying the type of programming that we would do. So it started with doing virtual concerts.
That's right.
When we were at, we are the home of go-go. So we made it a point to doing virtual concerts, making sure that the residents were informed, making sure that there was a tourist opportunity to highlight DC and everything that DC had to offer. When you look at the culinary experience, for example, being part of making sure the half smoke was available to be delivered versus, keeping things status quo. But one of the things going beyond the pandemic that we still offer is making sure that we have a safe, comfortable environment where people can continue to be in person and have that virtual component as well. And that's something that we've learned since the pandemic. I will also say, and I mentioned earlier, about having 11 venues. As far as I'm concerned, every venue in Washington, D.C. is an Events D.C. venue, right? So one of the things that we look at doing, and I'll mention two events in particular because they're funny. We just recently hosted a comedy festival elevating comedians of color that was named one of the top 10 new festivals last year. We snuck that one from Atlanta, and now DC is what I'm going to refer to the District of Comedy at this point. So doing that opportunity and just diversifying, make sure we elevate our venues in every aspects of DC, inside and outside venues. One other event recently was Crew of Pyros. Who knew Mardi Gras could be in Washington, D.C.? So we hosted Crew of Pyros, but also put a little D.C. spin on it with some go-go. You got to put a little bit of mumbo sauce on something, right? So doing go-go and highlighting R&B. So it's key. And Director Foster, as you know, we have all 8 wards creative community. So continuing to leverage up our creative community and helping them diversify and build their business.
Absolutely. So Club Quarantine, everybody, just so y'all know, that was Dr. Gates. That was not D-Nice. It was Dr. Gates. And we're going to look at also now, Angie, because you were uniquely able to bring that experience to people during a very difficult time. Now we have new experiences, innovation, and different things that people, attendees, visitors are looking for when they come into our city. Talk about how technology is playing a big role in your portfolio, and like you said, at all of these event venues across the city, because they all belong to us.
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. Something that's forthcoming is an official Events DC app, and that will give us an opportunity to engage our tourists, our residents, and especially our meeting and convention goers. In addition to that, being innovative, there's a mini Washington, D.C. in the convention center, which is the largest district-owned building. If you come into the convention center, you get to experience D.C. from the moment you walk in the door. You get a half smoke at our Uptown Dining District. We also, from an innovation perspective, made sure that we elevated our Wi-Fi accessibility throughout the convention center, charging stations for your phones and your computers. We also have vending machines that you can personally brand with your company logo, making sure that's accessible. But what's most important, we stand on the premise of being a one-stop shop. Whatever you need, whatever has to be accomplished, we make sure that we can either fulfill it at Events DC or get you to the right person. We don't believe in you having to deal and try to figure out who you need to contact. We are one city. Like you said, there's only one DC. We're one team. So it's important that we make sure we offer that type of service as well from an innovative standpoint.
Love it. So that was a nugget for our friends in the press back there. Events DC app coming your way very, very soon. All right. I'm going to turn now to our tourism division with Robin. So Robin, tell us where we are from pre-pandemic levels of tourism to where we are today, 4 years later. What's DC looking like?
Well, we are not fully recovered in terms of visitation, but it's looking good, and we're definitely moving in the right direction. So the last numbers that we have from 2022, we had about 1 million people who had visited DC in that year. Most of those were domestic visitors, and so we've recovered to about 91% of domestic visitation. International is where the challenge is, and so we've done a lot at Destination DC to expand targeting on the international market. So we had about 1.2 million visitors in 2022 from international markets. So this year, this fiscal year, we've expanded to Brazil, Mexico, and Canada in terms of our representation there, but we already have representation in the UK, Germany, India, Australia, and China. And so all of those together really help. They identify a lot of our top markets. Even with the challenges that we have in recovery with China, that was our #1 overseas market pre-pandemic. They've moved back into the top 10, even though they've been very slow to recover after the pandemic. So we're moving in the right direction, and we really hope that this new campaign, There's Only One DC, that we launched last November 1st officially in terms of putting it out in the marketplace, we really hope that tells the story of DC's uniqueness to stand out in the marketplace and show what only we have here. And we highlight it throughout about 17 commercials to date that we've created.
And I've seen some of those commercials, and they are absolutely amazing. They make you feel good about saying, I'm from DC. This is our home, you know?
Thank you.
Talk about some of the collaboration that Destination DC is doing. Maybe Destination DC is doing some work with Events DC. Can you all talk about that collaboration, what you all are doing together? Destination and events, you can't go wrong.
Well, I think sitting on this stage, we call ourselves the Hospitality Alliance, and we are aligned. We are telling the story of conventions and meetings and events at the convention center and other venues throughout the city. We certainly work with Sean at the Restaurant Association to make sure when we say heads and beds, butts and seats, those heads and beds are the hotels, right? We want overnight stays and generate tax income for the city, but the butts and seats, part of that is restaurants, and then beyond that, theaters, et cetera. But that is a big component of why people travel, certainly to DC. And then with Solomon and the Hotel Association, they have just been hugely supportive in terms of investing really in us through the city and making sure that we are positioned post-pandemic to tell the DC story so that we're generating those overnight stays in
Absolutely.
hotels.
And if you could tell our audience, just so they can get a clear understanding about domestic versus international visitors, what it looks like financially when you have domestic visitors versus international visitors and revenue.
Sure. So international visitors stay longer, and they spend 3 times the amount of money of a domestic visitor. So they represent 9% of our visitation, but spend 3 times the amount. And so that's significant in regards to what they generate for the city. So they may be smaller in number, but they're mighty, and that's an important place for us to be and to be expanding there. And thanks to the Tourism Recovery District assessment that we have now coming to us, we are able to expand in a lot of those international markets that I mentioned.
Got it. So, Sean, I'm going to turn to you now because now we're here in Washington, D.C. We've gone to some events at the Convention Center and some of the other locations under the Events D.C. portfolio. We're hungry now. We got to get to a good restaurant, and we know that you have all of the great restaurants under the Restaurant Association. Now, I want to go backwards with you for a little bit, too, to come forward because, again, 4 years ago where we were navigating through the pandemic and trying to find ways to make sure that people still had the experience in a safe way, in a safe manner. Streeteries evolved, which are now with us even today. Talk about what you learned from that moment that you brought with you into the Restaurant Association and how now we are still pivoting from the pandemic and some of those success stories 4 years later.
What I learned during the pandemic about restaurants is that they are strong and resilient, and that they were some of the first businesses that had to close and some of the last that were able to open. And so, through that time, you saw the transition from the health department, the requirements that we had to continue to adjust capacities and everything. And so streeteries became a vital lifeline to the industry. When you talk about having 25% indoors, we were able to expand the capacities of restaurants throughout the city by introducing the streetery program, and we gave them money to winterize those streeteries. And so I'm just thankful for the opportunity to work with the mayor and the deputy mayor at that time to get that stuff done. And it really became an opportunity for us to show people, show the industry that you can have a fair shot during the pandemic. And the Bridge Fund helped them get to the other side of the pandemic. And we're still, facing remnants of the pandemic. But like I said, our industry continues to be resilient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That deserves a clap. Seriously, that was something, trying to figure out a way to eat at your favorite restaurants during that time. Talk about some of the initiatives that the Restaurant Association has in place currently to promote and support our local restaurants. Now, we all look forward to Restaurant Week. We look forward to the winter one, the summer one. We hope there's a spring one, a fall one, whenever one, just a Restaurant Week. But talk about other initiatives you might have.
We appreciate the support for Restaurant Week. It happens in January and August every year. Why? Because it's the slowest months for restaurants. And we also, just 2 weeks ago, our council, thanks to Kenyon McDuffie, not sure if he's here, but he introduced legislation to help us reform liquor liability insurance, which is some of the highest in the country. And we also addressed some things around service charges, as I'm sure you all are seeing it on your bills. But inflation is real. The cost of food is high. And the cost of operating a restaurant is higher than ever before. So we appreciate the continued support of our industry. But that's the reality. Although we had about 60 restaurants that closed last year, over 100 open. So DC continues to be...
a clap. Now that does deserve a clap.
That's right. DC continues to be a hotbed for aspiring entrepreneurs who want to open restaurants and celebrity chefs.
Great. Oh, drop that. Talk about more about the celebrity chefs.
Well,
who we got here in D.C.
When I talked to Gordon Ramsay, that was a little
he
flex.
says that's so
little flex.
When you talk to
when I talked to Gordon Ramsay at the wharf, and I said, "Why'd you choose D.C. and you opened 2 restaurants at the wharf across the street from each other?" He said that he had did his research on D.C. The team studied it for a number of years, and London is one of the highest. They have one of the highest visitor rates. Number 1 overseas market rate. So they did their research, and even though we had gone through a pandemic the prior years before him opening, he still determined that DC was a good place for him to open 2 restaurants across the street from each other, and he's opening another one downtown in May.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, the press is getting everything today. Y'all better get those nuggets. Get those nuggets. No, that is great to know. And lastly, Sean, what trends do you currently see shaping the future of the restaurant industry here in the city?
Real quickly, I think food halls and streeteries will continue to be a thing that we need to show support to the industry. Obviously, Union Market is, was the first to do it, and I think we'll start to continue to see food halls pop up throughout the city and the region. And of course, streeteries, if you ride down 14th Street, saying Le Diplomat, they did it well. There's a few others out there that really transform how we dine outside. I know that the administration is working on some new guidance, and hopefully streeteries continue to be a thing of the future permanently.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've arrived in the city, tourism. We've gone to our events, Angie. We done had us a good meal, Sean. You know what's next, Solomon.
Time to go to bed.
It's time to go to bed.
Stay for
and
a while.
I need a really nice place to go to bed. So Solomon, talk about the hotel industry, the trends that you've seen pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, how you were able to evolve, and where we are today.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. So where we are today, as Robin articulated, we're not quite back to where we were pre-pandemic. That's just because of the nature of the hotel industry. You heard that Angie was able to do some creative things as far as virtual shows, concerts, and events. Sean's group was able to do some more creative things as far as food delivery. You can't export a hotel stay. A hotel stay is a hotel stay. You simply need to be on site in the building in order for us to generate revenue. So because of that, the industry in the district largely went dark because of some of the reasonable restrictions that were in place, not unlike many other sectors in the country. But before that, we recognized that tourists to DC generate over $7.1 billion annually, and tax collections from hotels alone are over $290 million on an annual basis. We are eager to get back to that point. Thanks to the hard work of Robin and her team, we're not far from it. But from an innovation standpoint in travel and tourism on the hotel side, more has stayed the same than we have evolved. There's a lot of talk about AI. There's a lot of talk about some robotics being used in different parts of the world and even the country. But here, what we're learning is that guests are more interested in streamlining their experience. They still want the human contact, but they would like to bypass the front desk by having the opportunity to check in on their phone. They like the opportunity to use their phone as their room key without having to go to the front desk. So innovations like that, as far as guest satisfaction and comfort, are extremely helpful in a post-pandemic environment.
I'm curious to find out, we know about the big chain hotels, but what about those boutique hotels? Are we seeing more of that, more interest there coming into our city?
We are. We're seeing travelers who would like to have a myriad of options when they come into the city. We saw it in the mayor's promo, and the deputy mayor talked about it as well. DC has everything that we need to be competitive.
Amen.
Feds, meds, and eds. We have all of that. We have the national monuments. We have the Smithsonian system, but we also have our phenomenal neighborhoods. We also have our communities. And when we look at different parts of the country, states, and corporations where they're actively looking to restrict their DEI efforts, this is something that's just a natural fit for DEI. We do that naturally in the district. Look at this room. We are representative of everything that the sophisticated traveler has come to expect from a world-class first-tier destination.
And you know what? That is the beginning of a new conversation we're going to have, because I believe we have so much to talk about right here on this stage that we got to keep this conversation going. We got a talk show up here, y'all. We're going to keep this going. We're going to get us a podcast. So I want to thank all of our panelists here of tourism and entertainment. I also want to give a shout out. DC is also voted one of the best for parks, Director Deanie Freeman. So we want to talk about that too. But we want to thank our panelists. Any closing thoughts? Dr. Gates, I know they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. I knew the Sandman was going to come get us. Less than a minute. Anything from Events DC? And where can people learn more about Events DC?
Please visit eventsdc.com, and I expect to see each one of you at one of our upcoming events.
Robin, anything from Destination DC?
Washington.org. Find out what to do in DC.
Next Restaurant Week. Where can we find out more, Sean?
RMW.org. Grammys, July 21. Tickets go on sale soon.
All right. Hotels, where are we going to stay, Solomon?
Come to DC, come frequently, and stay for a while.
All right. And thank you, everyone. Want to give a big shout out to OCTFME for all of their hard work here. And mark your calendars. April 14th, Emancipation Day Parade and Concert. You don't want to miss that. Thank you, everyone.
A few things really quick. One, it's LaToya's world. We're just living in it, so that was great. Two, look around the room. There's a lot of people in here. If you're in the back, you're here to network. We love that. Let's try and keep the volume down a little bit because we got some presentations to go through. We want to make sure that we can hear everyone. So thank you for that. We'll all get a chance to network a little bit after this. We're going to pivot a little bit. We've been talking about activations, about tourism. One of the other pillars that Deputy Mayor Albert talked about was housing. And no mayor in the country has invested more in housing in the city than Mayor Bowser has. We've made a lot of progress doing so. And I want to bring up someone to talk about that, our Director of Housing and Community Development, Director Colleen Green.
Good morning. Thank you, Ben. And good morning to everyone. I am Colleen Green, the Director of the D.C. Department of Housing and Community Development. DHCD's mission is to produce and preserve opportunities for affordable housing and economic development. Let me share with you the dynamic ways DHCD works and provides solutions for the district. Here are our upcoming announcements and opportunities. First of all, I'd like you all to save the date and mark your calendars for DHCD's grand opening. Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at 11 a.m., DHCD invites you to celebrate with us at our new building in Ward 8, located at 1909 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue Southeast, marking the completion of the MLK Gateway Phase 2. DHCD is setting a new standard of service excellence and a posture of finding solutions by offering district residents comprehensive information and resources on housing services and programs. We're not only building and preserving housing, but we want to share information that will position our communities to thrive. May 2024, DHCD is thrilled to announce that we will be issuing a notice of funding availability to welcome applications from quality community-based organizations for the fiscal year 2025 Neighborhood-Based Activities Grant. The grant for facade improvement, housing counseling, small business technical assistance. Applicants are asked to focus on DHCD's current affordable housing investments and projects, existing affordable housing, and proposals, including collaborations with other community-based organizations, providing services and outreach in a results-driven plan. Information sessions will be scheduled for late April 2024. This will be a community-forward and neighborhood-focused approach that will support economic investments by the district in all 8 wards. Small Buildings Program. Introducing our revamped Small Buildings Program, we have 2 pathways to support your renovation and repair projects: the Small Housing Provider Grant and the Small Property Loan Program, which are ways to preserve natural occurring affordable housing. This was designed to bridge the critical financing gap for multifamily property owners. Our Small Housing Provider Grant program extends financial aid for critical system repairs and replacements and moderate renovations to buildings with 2 to 50 units, recognizing the unique challenges faced by properties with more than 20 units and those smaller than 5 units and rising construction costs. We've adjusted the program. Eligible projects can receive up to $65,000 per unit with a project cap of $350,000. In summer 2024, for the larger projects, the Small Property Loan Program steps in for housing providers managing properties of 5 to 50 units. This option fills a void left by traditional financing routes. Whether your project is modest or substantial, our loans offer up to $65,000 per dwelling unit, with a generous ceiling of $1 million per project, empowering you to undertake the necessary rehabilitation and repairs to enhance your properties. The Small Property Loan Program will launch summer 2024, and the Small Housing Provider Grant Program is accepting applications today. You can apply for the grant by emailing sbp@dhcd@dc.gov, sbp.dhcd@dc.gov. Spring 2024, DHCD's Property Acquisition Disposition Division is extending an invitation to transform real property from DHCD's inventory. Through our fiscal year 2024 request for proposals, we're offering 6 properties, and we're championing equity inclusion, capacity building, and innovative home ownership solutions. Equity inclusion, we're prioritizing diversity and inclusivity by giving preference to small, local, and disadvantaged businesses, ensuring equal opportunity to access for all. In capacity building, we're empowering small businesses by offering multiple sites in each RFP for developments of 4 or more units, thus enabling disadvantaged developers to participate in our affordable housing initiative and grow their operations across 6 properties in 4 RFPs. By home ownership, we're introducing a pilot program focused on mixed income communities and unique home ownership opportunities. Selected sites will become townhome communities with buildings of at least 2 units, providing home ownership with rental units and the opportunity to become a landlord. Past RFPs will be available in spring 2024. For more information, email dhcd.pad@dc.gov. PAD has 2 current home ownership opportunities available for district residents: 36 Channing Street Northwest and 1657 Gale Street Northeast. Interested applicants can fill out PAD's expression of interest form and email dhcd.pad@dc.gov. Join us in shaping the landscape of affordable housing. DHCD is looking for partners who share our passion and commitment to affordable housing. Don't miss this opportunity to take advantage of these opportunities. Stay tuned for more details. Now I would like to introduce Tricia Miller, the CEO of DC Green Bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Green. It's great to be here. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, Deputy Mayor Albert, and the entire DEMPED team for the opportunity to be together. I'm thrilled to join this amazing lineup of agencies demonstrating that DC is here to support local businesses and achieve great things together. Since it's March Madness, I want to start with a quote from All-Star basketball player Caitlin Clark. "A true team believes in each other." Last month, Clark set a record for the most career points in Division I history for men and women. That's awesome. And it's Women's History Month, so shout out to the female All-Stars. And she did it with her team. We're all on Mayor Bowser's team, and we're going to set new records together to grow our local investments and achieve our climate goals. DC Green Bank is a mission-driven bank, making affordable loans to deploy clean energy systems, save money for businesses and residents alike, and accelerate progress towards meeting our climate, workforce, and public health goals. No matter what stage of project development you're in, we're here to help. We can offer pre-development finance, construction, and permanent financing. And we want to hear from each of you early in the stage of your project development in order to deliver financial savings for you and to provide community benefits across the district. If you're moving forward with a project that includes solar, battery storage, building energy efficiency, electric vehicle or charging infrastructure, or climate resilience measures, please reach out to our fantastic team to get the conversation started. We offer direct lending as well as serving as the administrator for DC PACE's program. When I say we're open for business, I really do mean it. As you can see behind me, last year, we're catching up. Go to the next slide. We invested $16 million of public resources, and we're able to crowd in $135 million in partner investment. Thanks to all of you. That means that for every dollar DC Green Bank invested, over $8 of additional resources poured into community projects and small businesses. and we've helped finance projects in every ward of DC. Our focus is to deploy public funds and crowd in public capital in ways that accelerate local development. We also value inclusive prosperity, a term coined by Mayor Bowser that's inherent in our values as a capital provider, where we focus on maximizing the benefits and jobs for our most vulnerable communities. Here are a few examples of recent projects in partnership with DEMPED, DHCD, and DOEE. Each of these investments brings us a step closer to the promise of a greener future for all Washingtonians. Featured in the center is Cycle House, an all-electric net zero development in Truxton Circle. Also pictured is a recent groundbreaking at Lisner Home, which leveraged green finance to support 90 affordable housing units for seniors. And the third example is Ridgecrest. This project will preserve nearly 130 units of permanent affordable housing in Ward 8 and comply with the district's building energy performance standard. Our team welcomes your partnership. Our contact information's on the screen behind me, so you can learn more about DC Green Bank. Please come see us and connect with us. Thank you, Mayor Bowser and Deputy Mayor Albert, and to all of you for being incredible partners and showing what's possible when we bridge public and private dollars to create and grow a thriving DC for all of us. Thank you. And next, I will be welcoming to the stage Liz Price, Vice President for Real Estate and Development at WMATA. Thanks.
Good morning. Good morning. You're still there. Thank you to the Deputy Mayor's Office for inviting Metro to join March Madness this year and share information about upcoming opportunities and development opportunities within our portfolio. Next slide. Like Deputy Mayor Albert, I'm also a Tar Heel grad, and I think it's a good omen for the ACC tournament that's kicking off this week that I ran into the Carolina basketball team bus on my way in today, right in front of the Metro. So we'll be cheering them on downtown tomorrow and this weekend, hopefully. In addition to our core mission at Metro of providing the region with safe, reliable, and frequent service, we're also a major landowner. And through our joint development program, we engage developers to bring housing, offices, retail, and other services to Metro property, which helps create jobs and critical housing, all in transit-accessible locations, and increases ridership and revenue for Metro, and importantly, tax revenue for our state and local partners. Metro has the most active joint development program in the country. Next slide. And over the last nearly 50 years, we have completed 55 buildings at 30 stations across the region, developing 17 million square feet of new housing, offices, and other services, including 8,000 housing units, and importantly, generating nearly $200 million in net new tax revenue for the region. Many of these projects are in neighborhoods throughout DC, including, importantly, our most recent joint development groundbreaking, which we held last year to redevelop Metro's original headquarters at Gallery Place, which will be transformed over the next few years. 2 years ago, we released a strategic plan which identified ways to accelerate joint development, and we'll talk today about 2 upcoming opportunities in the district. At Deanwood in December, Metro's board approved closing the parking lot at Deanwood Metro Station, which will enable future development of a 1.2-acre parcel. In addition, we've been working closely with DC Public Libraries for the last year to enable a new full-service public library to be located here. There's $24 million of district funding already allocated to support this new project. Next slide. And to add to that, this spring we'll be releasing an RFP for a private development site up to 240,000 square feet, mixed use. We've also submitted a zoning map amendment to adjust the zoning to comply with the comp plan. And we hope to select a developer this year and execute an agreement early next year. In addition, at Brookland, we're proposing a number of changes to our transit facilities which will enable 3 future development pads. totaling up to 500,000 square feet of development. We expect to issue an RFP later this summer and engage a developer end of the year and execute an agreement sometime next year. We do have folks in the back. Howard Ways from our staff will be leading both of these projects. So if you're interested in more information, we're here to talk. You can also, next slide, visit our website to get updates and to access the RFPs once they are released later this year. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over and introduce Program Manager for Housing in Downtown, Olivia Jovine.
Hi everyone. I'm looking forward to introducing the Housing in Downtown program today. This is an exciting new property tax abatement opportunity offered through DEMPED, and the application was announced and launched earlier this week by the mayor on Monday. So let's start with the importance of downtown and why the program is focused on downtown. Next slide, please. Yes. As we know, downtown DC has served as the economic engine for the district. And why do we call it the engine? Because geographically, the area only accounts for 2.3% of the district's taxable properties. However, downtown contributes 37% of all property tax revenue collected in DC. This means an investment in downtown is also an investment into the district. Since the pandemic, office vacancy downtown has soared to 19%. In other words, we're talking 20 million square feet of vacant office. We need a solution to fight this vacancy. The Housing in Downtown program is a solution because it offers an incentive for change of use projects, transitioning outdated office into much needed residential use. Next slide. A little over a year ago, the mayor introduced a bold goal in her comeback plan to welcome 15,000 new residents downtown. This translates to about 7 million square feet of residential space. How are we going to achieve this? Well, there are several conversion projects underway, 5 under construction and 11 in the pipeline, totaling about 3 million square feet of residential development. This is great progress. We intend for the Housing in Downtown program to deliver these projects from the pipeline into reality. We also intend for the program to induce more investments in the downtown. In fact, based on our analysis, this program will help deliver 90% of the residents needed to hit the mayor's 15,000 resident goal. Here's a quick summary of key program elements. I only have a few minutes, so it's going to be quick. I also think I'm the last presentation before the break, so we're just going to run through this. The program, again, is for office to residential conversions that result in at least 10 units of housing, and as an incentive for that, we'll offer a 20-year residential property tax abatement. The approved tax abatement will begin after project completion with issuance of the final certificate of occupancy. Affordability is required for these projects. 10% of the units must be affordable at 60% of MFI, and 18% of the units must be affordable at 80% of MFI. CBE contracting is required for at least 35% of the contract dollar volume during construction and operations of these projects. First source is also required for operations of the development. Notably, these projects are exempt from first source during construction. Last but not least, projects accepted into this program will be exempt from TOPA on the first sale within 10 years. Property owners will be required to notify tenants prior to the lease execution of this condition. For the area of eligibility, next slide. The area of eligibility is defined on this map. Development parcels must be located within this area or across the street from this area. Adaptive reuse projects and teardowns will be eligible as long as change of use occurs at the development. Any questions about eligibility should be directed to the DEMPED office. Next slide. The program is competitive due to funding caps, with reservations limited to $2.5 million for the first 3 fiscal years. That increases to $6.8 million in fiscal year 27 and $41 million in fiscal year 28. After that, caps increase annually by 4%. As a result of these caps, the program is competitive. All applications will be reviewed in the order in which they are received. DEMPED uses the following criteria to further determine a project's competitiveness. Extra weight will be given to projects that exhibit the following qualities: accelerated delivery timelines, exceeding affordability levels, developments that provide neighborhood-serving amenities, or projects that contribute to the development of residential nodes as described in the Downtown Action Plan or in the Office of Planning's Public Realm Study. Next slide. To apply for the Housing in Downtown program, you'll need to navigate to the DEMPED website and download the request for applications. It's a PDF document. It has everything detailed in terms of what will be required for your application. You will also be required to download and complete the HID RFA form, which is an Excel attachment and requires the reporting of financials by way of a pro forma. And finally, you'll be able to submit your application through the virtual portal on our website. If you have any questions, you can check out the preliminary RFA, which is posted to the DEMPED website right now. Next slide. And in closing, I want to encourage you to consider the Housing in Downtown program as an exciting opportunity for your next project in downtown DC. And please check out the application on our website. And for any further questions or discussion, feel free to find me by email or on the floor today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olivia. Maybe one time for Housing in Downtown. We are going to shake up the agenda a little bit. We have a council member here who has to get to a hearing, a DEMPED hearing, so neither of us want to be late. So I want to introduce someone who helped us get that Housing in Downtown into the budget and has been a partner for ours, Council Member Kenya McDuffie.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for allowing us to shake up the agenda a little bit. I have also done you a favor by cutting my remarks by 2/3, so I won't take up too much of your time today. I want to say good morning to Mayor Bowser and her entire team and everybody in the room. How you all doing this morning? It's a great room. It's a lot of energy in this room. As chair of the Council's Committee on Business and Economic Development, it is a pleasure to see all of you and to see all of this activity going on in this room this morning. Based on, I think, the sheer number of folks who are present today, I think it's safe to say that there's tremendous interest in being a part of the District of Columbia's comeback. Would you all agree? That's right. Much like the rebirth that spring brings us with the growth, the reemergence of leaves on trees and colors and flowers, and anticipation of peak bloom of the city's esteemed cherry blossoms, the district too reawakens at this very important inflection point. It's fair to say that we've weathered some storms in the last few years, and the somber fiscal outlook in the years ahead also requires some pretty tough decisions to be made about our investments and our assets. But I believe it's unwise to let a good crisis go to waste. And today's gathering is a testament to how we must plan, how we organize, how we prepare for the economic recovery that's going to restore the vitality to our downtown, to our retail corridors, to our neighborhood main streets. A successful growth journey is possible. How do I know that? I know because Mayor Bowser and I saw one example of some growth just a couple of days ago while touring the L Apartments in the heart of the Golden Triangle Business Improvement District. The L is one of the first major office to residential conversions in DC. We just heard that presentation about these conversions. And as I walked through the building and saw the views of the city from the rooftop, it was easy for me to see why people would want to live, work, and play in downtown DC. And as we all continue to do the work of reimagining our downtown, we have to ensure that we invest in a downtown that is going to be much more inclusive. We need a downtown with homes for residents and for workers, people of all different income levels, a downtown with retail and restaurants for our visitors, appropriate workspace for our businesses, both large and small businesses, and a downtown that is safe. In short, we need a downtown that we reimagine and reinvest that is a new downtown for everyone. Now, the districts cannot look backwards, and I think you all would agree. We have to look forward. You can clap for that. I like a nice round of applause every now and again. And I see the opportunities that are happening right now. I see the opportunities that our bids are making, that Events DC, Destination DC is doing by leveraging our assets, conventions and tourism. I see how the bids continue to clean and maintain our world-class parks and how they program our public spaces in a way that brings together thousands of people to enjoy concerts and outdoor movies and holiday markets. And looking forward means that we have to ask some pretty hard questions and make some prudent decisions about how we invest in our economic development, how we invest in housing and public transportation, and how we invest in opportunities for young people, opportunities for them to get a quality education, acquire more skills, and that help them get a good paying job, opportunities to live in quality, safe housing in downtown perhaps. In short, provide people with opportunities that provide hope and structure they need, which help us to prevent crime before it happens. We're going to help make DC safer, which we all did by passing the Secure DC bill, which Mayor Bowser signed into law just a couple of days ago. Let's give a round of applause for doing that. In short, rebuilding our local economy, DC, is not looking back to pre-pandemic levels. It is looking forward and transforming our city that is better and more inclusive for everybody. And it's precisely the energy that we have in this room today that we're going to harness, uniting in our goals, prepared to collaborate in ways that will invigorate our future economic growth for the great city that we all know and love. I want to thank you all for allowing me to be a part of March Madness today. Hopefully you all can check out a game for the ACC or the CAA while it's in town. I want to thank you and look forward to working with all of you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, council member, and see you at our hearing in a couple minutes. You've heard a couple presentations today. We've had some panel discussions. We've also put together a couple of videos that kind of highlight the work that we were doing in the agency, at DEMPED, in the economic development family, and we wanted to take advantage of this time and show some of those with you from DSLBD, from the Office of Planning, from DGS, Destination DC, and Events DC. So we're going to cue those videos right now.
There's only one place you can walk. In the footsteps of dreamers. There's only one place you can enjoy an award-winning dinner, then drinks with this view. There's only one place you can see a world-class show in a living presidential memorial. There's only one place you can devour a half smoke with the side of history.
As the official host for the nation's capital, Events DC showcases Washington, D.C. as a world-class, family-friendly destination. From Because They're Funny Comedy Festival to Passport DC, we attract, sponsor, and host events in the district that entertain and inspire residents and visitors to enjoy the city. With a portfolio of 11 venues that includes the festival grounds at RFK, the Entertainment and Sports Arena, and the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, we maintain contracts with local business and employ hundreds of residents of the district and surrounding areas. Our work serves as an economic engine to the district as we attract visitors from around the region, nation, and world to attend events, dine in restaurants, stay in hotels, and shop at our local retailers. With various grant and sponsorship opportunities available, we provide benefits back to the district residents and and its nonprofit organizations, which elevates everyone. Events DC is committed to a business model that reflects our mission to give back to our community through various social and sustainable measures, contributing to the greater good of the District of Columbia and its residents. Our vision stands on these 4 commitments: that our events entertain, employ, serve as an economic engine, and elevate everyone.
My name is Rosemary Suggs Evans, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as the Acting Director for the Department of Small and Local Business Development, also known as DSLBD. On behalf of Mayor Bowser and her administration, DSLBD is committed to supporting our small and local businesses and ensuring they have the ability to thrive through a variety of ways, including one-on-one technical assistance, access to capital, and identifying new and innovative ways to contract with the district. Most recently, DSLBD launched the 2024 Green Book, which is a guide to help you identify contracting opportunities in the district. This fall, DSLBD will once again host District Connect, which will bring together district agencies and financial institutions to provide support and offer resources to our local businesses. So stay tuned for the date announcement and be sure to visit our website at dslbd.dc.gov. DSLBD understands that supporting small businesses is an ongoing effort, and we want you to know that Mayor Bowser and our staff are here for you every step of the way. Remember, DC is open, and our commitment to your success remains unwavering.
Downtown DC is home to memorable public spaces, world-class museums, renowned restaurants, large green spaces, and wide sidewalks. The Downtown Public Realm Plan builds on that rich foundation with recommendations for enhancing the neighborhood's streets, sidewalks, parks, and plazas. We envision a downtown that puts you up close with the districts and the country's diverse culture. In Chinatown, the plan calls for museums that spill outdoors, with a slow 8th Street and a year-round outdoor market on F Street. We envision a downtown where people move around comfortably on accessible, connected pathways bustling with activity. Connecticut Avenue is reimagined as a promenade leading to the White House, with a unified design and a new space for seating and entertainment at the southern end. We envision a downtown where you can see and be seen, where you pass the hours in lush outdoor spaces and at inviting cafes. I Street can be transformed into a greenway for all seasons, with serene plant life and installations that invoke the natural landscape. Vermont Avenue can become a connector between Logan Circle and downtown, with new residential buildings and neighborhood-serving shops. The public realm is a space for shared experiences where we can gather with friends and loved ones, have chance encounters, celebrate, play, and connect with nature. We envision a downtown for all. Share your vision at bedowntown.dc.gov.
DGS here? Yeah. I know that's right. I can say something about DGS in a second.
I want to thank our director, Hunter, for his steadfast vision, reminding me always of the things and how the community has led the charge for this.
I love what Delano Hunter said about being a leader in net zero buildings, but he underplayed the great work that DGS has already done at Banneker, John Lewis, in Raymond, and now at Stead Park to our growing list of net zero buildings.
you have to have the quality and all what is your home, making this home for them. And I think Mayor Bowser and the team from DGS have accomplished that. Thank you very much for the city for all the effort.
And the best Oscar for music in a short film goes to DGS. But thank you for all of our agencies for the videos. DGS, that was something else. And just to reflect on those a little bit, everything that we do at DGS, at OP, at DSLBD, it's for our residents. It's to make sure that DC is a place where we can thrive, we can grow, and we're creating for families to be here and be here for a long time. And this morning I had the pleasure of meeting one of those residents. Her name is Kiviet Bucknight. Got that right? And I want her to come up and share her story a little bit and introduce Mayor Bowser.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Kiviet. I'm a proud Washington, D.C. native, and I'm excited to be here today to share with you how Mayor Bowser housing policy has impacted me personally. I've lived in D.C. my entire life, and I grew up in Sapara housing in Southeast in a neighborhood called Savannah Terrace. I then lived in nearby neighborhoods since then. Throughout the years, it was hard to find affordable housing that felt safe and close to amenities for me and my family. Fast forward, this year, my family and I moved. My family and I were presented an opportunity of a lifetime as the first to move into luxury, affordable housing at the newly developed Parcel 42 Station UNO. Located in the thriving Shaw neighborhood. After applying and qualifying for this affordable housing program, I now live in walking distance from my job, a metro station, a library, and a hospital. I feel so blessed when I think about the life I'll be able to give my family. This is thanks to Mayor Bowser and her team for creating luxury affordable housings for dreamers like me. It is my great honor to introduce the champion of the people, Mayor Bowser.
Well, greetings, everybody. Please have a seat and give Kiviet a big round of applause, representing Washingtonians who want what everybody wants: safe, affordable housing, access to opportunity, and great amenities. We remember Parcel 42 and from whence it came. Parcel 42 was one of the first projects that we unstuck when I became mayor back in 2015. And I was so proud to welcome residents to their new luxury affordable housing in the heart of Shaw. So let's give Kiviet another big round of applause. We know that these things don't happen by accident. It takes vision, hard work, great partners, the commitment of the city, the council, and DC taxpayers. So here we are for our 10th March Madness. And it's great to talk about all of the opportunity available in the district. One of the great privileges that I have is marshaling the incredible resources of our city. And let's not be mistaken. We live in the best city in the world, am I right? A city with strong finances, am I right? A city with great amenities, am I right? And a city that is growing in the most talented people in the world. Did you know that we were named just last week the best city for tech in America? Did you know that we had the most restaurant starts per capita than any place in America? Did you know that Metro had its best ridership day, including of federal government workers post-pandemic, just last week? And did you know that that is just the beginning of the comeback? So we're gathered here today to talk about how you can be involved. Because part of our vision in our 5-year economic development strategy is that we do even more with our local businesses. Now, since I've been mayor, we have gone from spending about $300 million to over $1 billion with our CBE community. And what we call on our local community to do is hire our residents. So we want to build more local businesses, more Black-owned businesses, more resident-owned businesses. We want to add 15,000 people to our downtown and 30,000 more people to the district at large. And when we do that, we will further increase our fiscal strength. But more than that, we will increase our inclusive prosperity. What I tell people all the time, and like Kiviet, I had the great honor. Now, not everybody can say this, but we like to say this. We were honored to be born here. But more than that, honored to stay here. And we are also privileged that so many people choose DC to be their new hometown. So all of us together, working on our strategic priorities, will ensure the district's comeback. Now, some people get a little skittish. Me, I'm not. I'm entirely optimistic. Because what I saw when the CFO released our most recent revenue data, everybody was like, oh, woe is me, the sky is falling. But you know what I saw? Our revenues are increasing. They're increasing because of your hard work. Now, it is true that over the last 15 years, our revenues went up like this. And a lot of people in this room enjoyed that increased prosperity, didn't you? Didn't you? It is also true that our revenues are growing more slowly, just like every other place in America. And our expenses are going up like that, just like every household in America. So that is why we have to be strategic. Now, unlike most places, we budget for 5 years. And so our 5-year outlook and the revenues that we collect 5 years from now, that's up to us, isn't it? And so what I have challenged my team to do is to change that trajectory. So I like our revenues to grow, even slowly, but I want to get back to the days when they're growing like this. Don't you? And that is up to us. So what we are doing now and what we will present to the council are interventions that help us bend that curve in the upward direction, back to roaring growth, increased prosperity, and a greater ability to invest in our people. Over the last 15 years, I am proud to say that we have been able to make the types of investments that other jurisdictions just haven't been able to do. The reason why Kiviet and so many others can tell the story of affordable housing investments is because we kept our promises. I promised 10 years ago that we would invest $100 million per year in our Housing Production Trust Fund. And for 8 straight years, that's exactly what we did. And then you know what we did? We did $300 million per year, and then $400 million. So now that I can look back over the last 10 years, we've invested over $1.5 billion in our Housing Production Trust Fund. We're also going to hit our goal of 36,000 new units by 2025 with your help. And we will continue to unstick projects. The parks at Walter Reed, that's different now than it was 10 years ago. St. Elizabeth's East and Ward 8 is on its way. The Wharf, $2.5 billion, 24-acre development, has now delivered phase 2. Audi Field delivered to bring world-class soccer to Washington, D.C. And one of my favorites, our bridge, the biggest infrastructure project in the history of the District of Columbia, the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge, is a welcoming, iconic site. We're also pleased with Congress's progress in helping us unlock an unprecedented opportunity at RFK and soon at Poplar Point. So at RFK, we can imagine a thriving mixed-use campus with housing, retail, green space, and football. We're excited by the progress of our legislation, and we will keep focused. As I promised 10 years ago, the district needs control of that parcel so that we control our own destiny. Poplar Point is one of the last great urban waterfront redevelopment opportunities on the East Coast. It's 110 acres, and we continue to work for the final transfer from the federal government to the district. And finally, at Buzzard Point, we will continue the incredible progress in and around Audi Field, one which is slated to be delivered by 2025. We will include 3 rental residential mixed-use towers totaling more than 1,000 apartment units, and there will still be opportunities there. And when we think about our city's economic future, we of course need to focus on the future of our downtown. It has been well said already here. It is because a healthy and vibrant downtown is essential for the district to be able to pay for the investments we're proud of in all 8 wards. Downtown is home to 320,000 employees and 25,000 residents and 16 million visitors every year. And that is a tremendous base of opportunity. And when it comes to business attraction and bringing more businesses to the downtown, the city will continue to do our part with our Vitality Fund. So today I have some news. 3 new businesses will expand their footprint in downtown DC by way of help from the Vitality Fund. Acumen, give them a round of applause. Kellen and Ryan. Together, these companies will create 232 jobs, retain almost 200 jobs, and lease out 90,000 square feet of space in the downtown. You heard Councilmember McDuffie talk about the L. It is a great example of converting underutilized offices into housing. And by the way, we lead the nation in those conversions that are underway. It's just one example of the hard work that we're doing to bring people downtown. And you can help too. First of all, I want you to go to a restaurant Bring your friends to the theater. But more than that, tell everybody when you're downtown how much fun you're having and tell them they should be there too. You heard about our public realm plan and how it lays out a vision for a beautiful, vibrant DC that includes the built space, the public space, and how people can use it in the way that people are working today. So know this, you have a partner in my administration and all of us, that's all of our agencies, all 37,000 of us who work for the District of Columbia, recognize that economic development allows us to do our work. So let me recognize Nina Albert, the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. Nina and her team are here for your ideas, to unstick problems, and to help you get open. You heard Rosemary say DC's open, and we can't serve our residents or workers if you're not open. I am also pleased to acknowledge the promotion and appointment of a hard-working DC government leader who I have seen lead a very complicated and important agency, and I understand her vision for the future. And I am pleased to announce that Sharon Kirschbaum is being appointed the Director of the Department of Transportation. Please join me in congratulating Sharon and recognizing all the employees of DDOT. So let me finish, and I warned him that I was going to do this, but I heard one of our development leaders make some very important statements. And I told him we're going to get him to say it right into the camera. It was when we were touring the L. So until we get that, I'm going to repeat it for him. This is what Gary Cohen of Wilco said. He said, history has proven that people will always want to live, work, and play in cities because the city itself is the amenity that cannot be duplicated anywhere else. And yes, we've seen challenging times, but we've seen challenging times before. And people invested, took risk, and our city is better off because of them. So the message from Gary was simple, that it isn't the time to run away or play it safe, but it's the time to come together so that we thrive together. Thank you for being here. Let's win.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Mayor Bowser. You heard the mayor talk about how our revenues want to go back to going like this. One of the tools that we have to do that is the Vitality Fund. I want to recognize Sarah Adams from DemPed on team, if you want to raise your hand. Sarah Adams runs the Vitality Fund for program. If you're a business that wants to relocate to the district, expand in the district, have a new headquarters, Sarah is your person. And we want to recognize now the first recipient of our Vitality Fund, DC resident, expanded and created a headquarters in our downtown. Let me welcome Vertru and John Ackerley with a short video and then a panel discussion.
I'm John Ackerley, co-founder CEO of Vertru Corporation, and very excited to be here today. I'm John Ackerley, co-founder CEO of Vertru Corporation, and very excited to be here today. I was actually born and raised in Washington, D.C. We started Vertru here because, not because we were from D.C., although that was a great bonus, but because if you are a company, a person who has a real mission-focused and ambition to get something done that can impact policy in the world, there's not a better place anywhere than the DMV. Really proud that we've been partnered with the DC government and with the area going back to the very early Vertru days. I'm a super passionate DC person, and I've been an evangelist for for the many years, but specifically for Virtru, it really sits at the intersection of technology, policy, and really enabling businesses. And right across the street from our office is the World Bank. We are a block and a half from the White House. And so it just makes sense. It also made sense in terms of access to talent. So, some of the best security architects and engineers around are in the area. And why Washington, D.C. itself and not Virginia, and why not Maryland, is it's just cooler. It's just more fun. Moving out to Leesburg or something, that's a major disruption. And for what benefit? I mean, we are literally 2 blocks from the White House, and a bunch of customers. So the name of the Virtru headquarters is the hub. The hub should be in Washington, D.C. The hub should be like right in the nation's capital. Really, the mayor and the Vitality Fund being a critical part of that, it's just a winning combination. It is not just about great museums and great restaurants either, but we have that too. Location really matters. It has always felt like a differentiated and natural fit for us, not to knock companies that are often Dulles, but it kind of feels like you're out the toll road and you're in amongst government contractors. You're really trying to make a differentiated play and attract young talent and sort of be close to the action. It just makes sense to be here. And it has already served us very well. Very happy that we're here and that we committed to an additional 13 years here in Washington. I just wanted to, again, say a couple of quick words. Virtru is a cybersecurity company, right? And we do play at that nexus of policy and real global impact. And there is not a better place on this planet that has that incredible mix than right here in Washington, D.C. And when you combine our collective ambition here in this room with the truly steadfast support of the mayor and of her team, and that pilot light, in this case, of the Vitality Fund, but there's so many other pilot lights, we all in Washington, D.C. are unstoppable. Since we opened our new hub back in September, Mayor, we have been working fast as well. It has just been great to be able to bring in so many different groups from across the city, including Go Pursue, that is an incredible group that has active mentorship programs. So then we are working with the DCPS on then a career readiness for 11th and 12th graders. So then also bringing into Virtru as well some amazing civic hackers with then, like over pizza, trying to really come up with ways that technology can have social impact. And then also, doing our first major event called DMV Rising, which was bringing some of the world's top cybersecurity leaders, also the top Southern leaders from around the area, right to downtown DC to talk about how we can have an impact to protect all of our data. So it's just been an awesome 6 months so far. We have 12 and a half years to go, and I'm very happy to then bring up our great panel and the newest members of the Vitality Fund family. And then first of all, our panelist Tucker, who is an old friend, who is the managing partner at then JLL. Also put up with me being a little OCD about design choices with our space. And then come on up, and then you can please welcome the rest of the panelists. Great job.
All right, good afternoon. Big round of applause for everyone who's been up here thus far. Great event. Thanks for the team for putting this together. I'm the moderator on the panel, and I'm going to bring the panelists up. I'm going to start with Will Johnson, who's Director of Property Management at Acumen. Travis Rush, CEO at Kellen. Janelle Darden, CEO at Moisture Love. And Nicholas Perkins, Chairman, President, and CEO of Perkins Management and Fuddruckers. Okay, so the panel, let's start with this. Are we on? Okay, so why DC? I think the easiest part is let's go down the list and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company, and why DC?
I'm Will Johnson. I flew in here from our headquarters in Burlingame, California, because we're expanding our offices here in DC. With help from the Vitality Fund. Sarah Adams already got some credit for that, but I want to thank her again. She's right there. Why DC? As the mayor said, the city is the amenity. And we have a young workforce. They're really excited to be in the city. You can't get what you get here anywhere else. It's a great city, excited to be here. We just kicked off construction on our expansion space on Friday, so I'm also here to visit that.
Excellent. Nicholas?
Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Perkins, Chairman, President, CEO of Perkins Management Services Company, contract food service management provider for historically black colleges and universities and business and industry clients, and also the CEO of Fuddruckers, world's greatest hamburgers. Thank you. Delighted and excited to be here. I think it's very obvious why any small women or minority-owned business would choose the District of Columbia. I believe that our mayor stated that there was $1 billion in spend with CBE firms, and I don't believe that there is a state in the United States that can rival the district in that statistic alone. So I think it's very obvious why DC should be the choice. Probably next to the federal government, I've never heard of spend that high for anyone in that category. So I tip my hat to the district for that respect.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Darden. I am the president and CEO of ML1 Incorporated. Moisture Love is actually one of our house brands. I am a Georgia Tech industrial and systems engineer, but most importantly, as Mayor Bowser said, I am a DC native. I was born here, spent summers here, did camps here, so glad to be back here with my company. So in addition to having roots here and being able to penetrate the community because we already have family here, we're a healthcare company. And DC is the home of all health and human services organizations. On top of that, we've discovered as a small business that we have to be in the middle of the conversation around policy and around funding. And I have been so appreciative to the DMPED office for all the support that they've extended so far with helping us get to DC. In addition to what was said about the $1 billion of spend, I'm really excited about the Department of Human Employment Services programs because we're looking to hire more people for our team. And then DC has such an educated workforce, so it only makes sense for us to be here. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Travis Rush. I'm the CEO of Kellen. We are a association management and public affairs company. We are moving our headquarters from Atlanta to DC and expanding here in DC. When you say why DC, DC is a unique global city, and Kellen is a unique global company. So it just made sense. When you add what Mayor Bowser did with the Vitality Grant to help us expand our workforce here, it was a no-brainer for us to say we're all in on DC. We're very bullish. We want to be here for a long time and put down deep roots. I am not a DC native, although I did go to George Washington University, so I did spend some time here and coming back. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody. DC is the association and nonprofit capital of the world. So, Travis, you can talk a little bit about access to your partners,
Absolutely.
et cetera. And then also a little bit more about the Vitality Fund. We want to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So as I mentioned, we're an association management company and public affairs company. We work exclusively with associations and nonprofits that are national and international in scope. We have an office in Brussels, which is political headquarters of Europe. And we have about 250 people globally. We run a number of trade shows and conferences for over 100 association clients. And a lot of what we do needs to be here. DC, as I said, is a unique place. It's a unique place for association and nonprofit talent. It's a unique place for the universities and education system that we have here. It's a unique place for access to not only policymakers, but other think tanks and collaboration groups that allow our company to thrive and allow our clients to thrive through our presence and access here. So it really is just a unique place and a perfect fit for what we do.
Thanks, Jess. Joe, I'd love to hear more about small businesses and why DC is so welcoming, but also just why it's the place to be, how you can thrive here.
Yes, so I've never seen a city pull together all the different resources that a small business needs to expand. So learning about the Department of Employment Services program that I just mentioned, then there's the Vitality Fund, then you also have the housing initiatives for my employees, right? Housing security is really important. We're a wellness company, we're a healthcare company, and part of your wholeness as an individual is feeling secure when you go home. And so that is extremely beneficial to me because we offer non-traditional compensation packages, right? As a small business, we don't have the ability to offer six-figure salaries. Funding is a part of the reason why we're here too, because I advocate on Capitol Hill on behalf of small businesses, especially around the credit card initiatives or the different SBA loans, because they're not really geared to micro businesses, more so larger small businesses. But what DMPED is helping us do is to take all of those resources down, compact them, and figure out how to be able to be placed here so that we can hire more. So for me, it's the resources that the city offers. But then for my business, ML1 is a technology company that focuses on expanding and optimizing the care equity ecosystem. And all healthcare starts here, right, as well as all policy. But most importantly, we're a company who focuses on healthcare for women. And learning about the maternity initiatives and all the black women that are dying here, DC needs us, right? DC needs us. And we started, our first healthcare contract was in a hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, in the mother-baby unit. And we've learned how we've been able to provide additional care to those women when they're coming to a place, just to have a baby and hopefully make it home alive. So those things are really important to us.
That's great, thank you. Nicholas, you've also chosen to make DC a hub and expand here in the Mid-Atlantic. So why is it so important to be in DC as opposed to somewhere else in the Mid-Atlantic?
Well, first, I made a decision in the 20th anniversary year of Perkins Management Services to relocate it from North Carolina to Washington, D.C., primarily because of the intentionality I feel in the district to understand the needs of a growing business. And as she indicated, leveraging all of the various resources through the various departments to create an ecosystem that helps businesses thrive, not just to survive, but thrive. And I think it's very clear to everyone, it should be, that this is a place that has been very thoughtful in its approach to developing programs and initiatives to attract, retain, and grow small businesses. And that was attractive enough for me to leave North Carolina and put Perkins Management here in Washington, D.C. And then when we think about Fuddruckers and the re-establishment and re-emergence of that brand, to grow on the East Coast, we needed a headquarters. And so I decided also, since I was relocating Perkins here, to also establish an East Coast headquarters here for Fuddruckers for the brand as well. So everyone that comes into the brand on the East Coast will come through our Washington office.
That's wonderful. Will, can you talk a little about attraction and retention of talent and why that was important for you to be here?
We have a lot of young researchers at our company. We recruit from universities. This is a great place for that. They also want to be in the city. Yesterday in our office, I saw a dozen young employees arguing about which of 3 new restaurants they were going to walk to, which in and of itself is a sign of vibrance. And it makes team building organic. It's a great amenity, the city itself, and it's close to our government clients as well.
And how much of that was a factor in your decision, access to partners and clients?
Well, that's a main reason we moved here, also access to talent, and a reason we wanted to expand, and the Vitality Fund helped us make that as a responsible decision for our company.
Okay, another shout out to Vitality Fund. Nicholas, let's talk about your strategic objectives in your expansion, and just why now is the right time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you think about DC, there was another amazing statistic I think that I don't know of any other area that can claim, and that is the total number of restaurants per capita, the growth and recovery. I think a thriving restaurant environment should absolutely have a Fuddruckers. And so as we look to reestablish the brand, we are going to be filing our first franchise disclosure document under my ownership in the past 2 years, and we're going to start recruiting new franchisees. And so our first new store under my ownership is going to be here in Washington. And so we're excited and delighted about that. Thank you. And we were very intentional in developing the franchise models that we wanted to create. So not only do we have traditional franchise, we also develop non-traditional franchise and licensing agreements to attract more small women and minority-owned businesses to get involved in the business of franchising. And so we created different platforms of different sizes and different entry points. So I thought it was important for me to be as intentional in being inclusive as I want opportunities to be for me to be inclusive as well.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Janelle, you talked about access to administrations and government. How important is that physical aspect, the being in proximity?
Well, it makes a big difference. So before we decided to move to DC, I found myself here a couple times a month. So either with the National Retail Federation or with Shopify on Capitol Hill, advocating on behalf of small business. And what I learned is that it's a process to get the conversation pushed forward and to be the voice in the room on a consistent basis when there may be other voices that don't necessarily represent the demographics of my business and myself. And so to be near the conversation, to be able to provide the input, and then also to be able to understand how the process works so that maybe some of the challenges that I'm having as a business could be navigated or redirected a different way, it makes a big difference.
Excellent. Travis, your office is, what, a block, 2 blocks away?
Yeah, across the street.
Yeah. Closer than that. The press building.
Yep.
How important is it for you to be in downtown? You're right in the center of the city.
Yeah, it's super important. We've been in the press building for about 15 years. We have, I think you said, doubled down and went long in doubling our space and extending out for another 11 years our lease. And that's very, very important. The location's super important. But I think on top of just being downtown and being in such a vibrant area and such a wonderful, unique city, their location, we've seen this in our business with our clients and our staff, location seems to, in the working world, matter less and less. And I think Washington, D.C. is a major exception to that. This is a place that matters more and more as other locations and where people can work for matters less and less. And that was a huge reason for us to say, this is the place we want to be, this is the place we want to be, not just downtown, but in D.C. in general with the access that everyone's talking about.
That's great, thank you. Will, can you speak a little bit more about the benefits that you've already seen? You mentioned 3 restaurants.
3 new restaurants that I know of. Being walking distance from our clients was always a draw. It helps us deliver our services more effectively. We can check in on them. They can come to us. And recruiting has been a lot easier because those young researchers right out of college, they can commute to work on the metro. Some can walk to work. It's been a great draw for recruiting, and the city's been very supportive. So it's a great place to stay.
Excellent, thank you. Nicholas, we've talked about many of the business reasons that you've been here, and you chose to expand. What about your mission? What about your objectives, your vision? What about the district is important to the fabric of that?
Well, you know, I think we were in business school taught, you know, of course, to start with the end in mind. I had started this company a year and a half, you know, out of undergraduate school, Fayetteville State University, and then I came to Howard University and got my master's, and actually taught in the business school. And through this evolution, we always, you know, have to go back and then reevaluate the strategic plan. And I got to tell you, in the very beginning, you know, the plan wasn't to leave North Carolina, you know, but you know, the reality is that you know, at year 20, you know, I want to look a lot different year 40 than at 20. And so I think that the growth opportunity, as I stated, the intentionality of the district to get behind minority-owned businesses is one of the key driving factors for me to secure the long-term viability of the company. And I think that there are a tremendous amount of opportunities for food service contracts in the region. We are the food services provider for the University of the District of Columbia. In fact, we have the investiture of our new president tomorrow, and that's exactly where I'm leaving when I go from here, because we got a ton of catering going on, so I'm going to pull out my chef coat. But at the same time, very excited about our future and the potential opportunities that are going to be here for the firm. So I'm very excited about it, and look forward to what the future holds for us.
Wonderful. All right, yes. John, you started the company, right before the pandemic, a couple of years before, and you've transitioned in a retail business. How have you found being in the district supportive of your expansion?
Yeah, so Moisture Love started in 2017, but ML1 we started just about a year ago. So we're a technology supply chain company, and we've been doing all of our distribution for our retail partners our own. But what we learned coming out of the pandemic is that there's so many other small businesses that are looking to grow and expand, but they need support in the simple things. And so one of those are fulfillment and manufacturing. We manufacture all of our products, but we also manufacture for other partners. And what we've decided to do is to place our fulfillment and manufacturing center in DC. Not Baltimore, Maryland, or Virginia, but in DC. And the intention is to make this our hub so that we not only can do the fulfillment for our brands, but for other businesses that are made in DC and are looking to have more global reach for their customers as well as for their suppliers. So that's our plan for fulfillment. And then we don't have a retail location of our own. Therefore, we are looking to place that in downtown DC. So think like a hair museum where you can come in and see the products being made, see the skincare products being made, and as a consumer, you can add your own fragrance, change the oil a bit, and walk out with the product. And then children in the summertime can come to our youth program and learn all about science, all about chemistry, all about business. So we're excited about that.
That sounds wonderful. Congratulations. Thank you all for supporting the district.
One more time for our panelists, please. All of them very exciting. Personally, Fuddruckers has a very dear place in my heart and my childhood. But we're going to keep the agenda going a little bit here. I want to invite to the stage the leader of our creative thought and innovation at DemPed in terms of how we support our businesses, a dear friend and the director of our business development program, Sabangali Cook.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me? In the back? Oh, very good. I saw it. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so I have a very, very quick announcement to make. While my amazing colleague keeps me on time, he's like, you got to hurry up. So one announcement I'd like to make before I talk about DC Venture Fund, which is what I'm here to discuss. I want to again congratulate the 3 Vitality Fund recipients this year that were announced at the Mayor announced. Could we please give them another round of applause? Okay, now I'm going to get to the announcement. Here we go. So I'm really, really delighted to share an update about our DC Venture Fund. This is a $26 million investment. I'm going to say that one more time. This is a $26 million investment that the mayor and Treasury has partnered together to create. And it's an opportunity for us to invest in our local startups here in DC, giving them pre-seed dollars. And so to that end, what I'd like to do, there are 2 parts to this process. We first have to identify a program administrator, and then from there we begin to design, create, and then do a call out to fund managers. This is a fund-to-fund approach. And so today what we want to share and kind of announce is that we are finalizing our partnership with our program administrator, which is K Street Capital. So we want to congratulate and thank K Street Capital for being the program administrator that we are working with right now. There'll be a lot more details to come about when we'll be announcing and working with fund managers. The last comment I have is for anyone who is applying for our retail-focused grant programs that are out. There are 6 of them. The applications all close on Friday, but guess what? We're extending them. We're extending those programs for another 2 weeks, so you will be getting information and details and notices in your inbox that allows you a little more time to apply. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, or please feel free to go down to the table in the back and talk to one of our colleagues from there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Call me Napin Sabangali, thank you. We want to transition into our last panel of the day. We are at the tail end of our agenda. If I could have the folks in the back, DemPed staff, visitors, just move on up and take a seat, that would be great. We've talked a lot about our businesses, about our places, why we're excited about DC tourism. The last element, the last piece of that puzzle is housing, and making sure we have housing for our residents, housing all over our neighborhoods. And I want to introduce our panelists today. For the last panel, Ramon Jacobson from LISC, Leila Finucane from Victory Housing, and then Bua Benite from Dumas Collective, who I will be not standing on the stage at the same time with.
All right, this is, thank you all for sticking with us. You know, this is the highlight of the show. We're the closers, and so this is the exciting part where we break it down a little bit. I think that's our assignment. And I want to thank all the developers out there who are cutting deals. Can the developers left in the room raise their hand, please? See, I see some. Oh, there we go. We got, come on, developers. It's a community meeting, but it's not one of those community meetings. You don't need to be scared to raise your hand. We're all going to help you out. Well, thank you. I'm Ramon Jacobson. I head the local office of the Local Initiative Support Corporation. Nobody calls us that. Call us LISC. We are national. We've been in D.C., downtown since 1982. So working hard at that. We are engaged in re-emerging, bringing people back downtown, convening events in our space and meeting with people in the community. We invest across housing and affordable housing and economic development, healthcare, arts, community facilities. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna share an observation I learned last month when it was Black History Month. And I got my history from Twitter, which is maybe not the best source for history, but it's exciting. And what I learned was that, as I'm biking down here, is that L'Enfant, who, gets all the credit for designing Washington, D.C., basically drew it up and then left. And it had to be Benjamin Banneker who did the actual work of surveying the city. And you know what that means. I mean, of course, we have people in this room who get it done. And that's what we're all about here. And of course, no credit, no criticism of L'Enfant. He probably wanted to work from home. It was first person to remote work, and Zoom didn't exist. But we're with two people, Layla and Bua, who really get it done. And you've got a long track record, both in the public and private sector. And I think that's what we want to tap into today, is what, having worked on both sides of the work, what projects are you most proud of, and what lessons do you think are really have you carried over from have you learned in doing this work now that you're on the development side? And I'll hand it off to Layla first. Go ahead.
All right. That's a tough question, and I think partly the answer is to what you said, is that a lot of times you're creating the space to do the work. So in different roles I've had, it's been more about like what are the best practices, laying those out, setting the policies, or underwriting the deals and doing things like that. I will say on the developer side, I'm now at Victory Housing. We're a nonprofit regional developer, owner, operator. We've an affiliate of the Archdiocese, have been around for 45 years now. So when I took my role here, one of the things that I think really stood out to me is that the navigation of it and the actual work of trying to make those best practices all match up for one project. So most recently we completed our Spring Flats redevelopment here in the district. It was a lot of community input. It was originally from a DEMPED our RFP process, and just the challenge of balancing the community voices, the district's policies, the interagency. I will say the interagency conflicts at times and things like that, but to really get to the result and to actually see it, it's really, I would say that project, that redevelopment, is one that really makes me happy. So I will say proud of it, but I'm proud of, I think proud is an interesting word because it's really part of the community. And so a lot of times the community members or the residents who were part of that RFP process will come up to us and sort of declare that we've done what they wanted us to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody's proud of that project. It's it's right on Spring Road between, say, Georgia and 13th. And it's a great project. If you haven't seen it, meet the residents. It's gorgeous. Boo, how about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Bua Benitier, founder and CEO of Dumas Collective. Listen, first and foremost, I just want to say I'm a proud DEMPEDer. I grew up in DEMPED. I cut my teeth in DEMPED, and I dare say I'm still cutting my teeth at DEMPED. What project am I most proud of? I would say the one that we recently just delivered, which is also a DEMPED project, Parcel 42. That project has been in the books for, I want to say, I don't know, 2 decades?
Oh yeah, I remember. Definitely, at least 2 decades.
2 decades? Yeah. I like to say the project aged me, but I think the project made me younger. But it takes a village. It really does take a village to move a lot of these projects. But I would tell you that without the will and support from all of the various district agencies, particularly DEMPED, I doubt that project would be where it is today. We worked day and night. Folks sometimes have this idea that working in government may be laissez-faire or just calm and chill place to come. No, the folks at the district government work extremely hard.
Amen. Amen.
They work extremely,
people in the district government.
Extremely hard, and no better example than what transpired at Parcel 42. I mean, they worked very hard to help bring the project together. Now we've got 110 units sitting on the corner of 7th and Rhode Island that folks can call home. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. One of the things that Layla and I talked about in advance was this idea that doing these, and we really want to encourage people to find their path to engage in these projects. All the opportunities presented from the various agencies, it's lean into them and throw your hat in the ring. One of the things that Layla and I talked about, and Boo, I'm not sure if you had this conversation, but is the way that doing these projects builds your organization or your institution. It builds muscle memory. And I don't know, either of you have a thought on how it's done that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I started here in D.C., right? I started in D.C. just basically trying to find my way into various projects, right? And, I was shocked the other day to realize that we are, I want to say maybe 10, 11 projects in from DEMPED since the inception of my company, when we started off very small. And the thing I like to tell people the most is, it's because of our track record in the district is why we've been able to be in 6 states right now across the continental United States. And that started here in the District of Columbia, right? It's because of the projects that we started in the District of Columbia that we're now over 100 people strong as an organization, right? Again, it started here in the district, in the basement of my house. No better place, and in all my travels, no better place to conduct business, particularly as a real estate firm, as a black-owned real estate firm, no better place to conduct business. And I really hope that the district continues to do whatever it can to foster the next up-and-coming generation of developers as well. No better place, in my opinion.
So I think, the perspective, it's a little bit different from the mission-based nonprofit side. But the muscle memory is definitely a piece of it. Victory Housing, we started from working, our grassroots organization and community organizing was really in our DNA, and it was about helping the community to visualize what they would like to see and then to make sure that that gets done. So we have 36 communities across the Archdiocese of Washington, which is DC, Montgomery County, Prince George's, St. Mary's. We're very much grounded in staying local or local regional, and it's a different mission, if you will, or trajectory, but definitely from like our first, when we did one of the first TOPA deals in the district, Park Fair, with LISC, and so having these partnerships over time and being really that instrument and that having that ability to work with the community and with the district government. We have a number, it's interesting, like I was just reflecting, like we definitely we have 6 communities in the district, so I will not say that this is something like a cookie cutter thing or like from our perspective it's something you can do rapidly, but our goal is to make sure it gets done and gets done right. In the end, I think we like to think that those communities are very special to the community and to the district, but it's interesting. I was just thinking that that's not really the same. So it's good if you'd like to be a real estate developer and go to many different states and grow that way. That is certainly a path, and I think the district is a great place to look at that. But if you'd like to also work in affordable housing and community development and really work on creating the community around you and persevering to make sure that those goals get met, like the mayor's goals, the community's goals, it's also a wonderful place to work.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think one of the pivots I wanted to make, as I heard the agencies introduce new programs. A lot of the experimentation, and a lot of the reasons that DMPED is at the head of these things is it's like two separate strains coming together. You know, like senior housing brings up multiple programs, affordable housing, supportive housing. You're using multiple lenses, multiple agencies coming together. And I think there's the experimentation leads to policy changes as well. Do you have any thoughts about how, you know, or examples of ways in which the doing has helped the government learn from you, or maybe even some advice about how government folks ought to listen and for feedback as you kind of innovate and craft solutions to things?
I can start on that answer. I mean, I think, and I know some of the DMPED project managers and like Mark Cordiello, who really worked with us throughout the Spring Flats development and stuck with it, as well as the DHCD folks. One of the complications we found, just as an example, is we were really trying to achieve this idea of mixed income, because that's what the community wanted, was to not have 100% affordable family housing in one building. They really wanted this mixed income. And we ran into multiple policy roadblocks between the finance agency and the district. And so in the end, Victory, like, we worked and we brought funds to we made it work, and we wanted to make sure that we had that outcome. But I think that's sort of, that's an area where, like, that interagency coordination or looking at policies that maybe were created 20 years ago that don't necessarily reflect what people really want. I think that's really important, and that would be an area where if people could move faster to do that. But I think certainly, I think we were commenting that the innovation happens in those interagency conflicts, really. So it's not so much that you avoid the conversation. It's productive.
Yeah,
it's a difficult conversation. Yes,
Yeah,
you wouldn't find out. You wouldn't find out that it was a conflict unless you had the conversation.
Boo, any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, quick thoughts. You know, sometimes policies conflict with underwriting, right? I think that's the big lesson that we normally encounter when we are moving forward with projects, and the onus is on us to prove out that theory mathematically with the district government agency. And one of the transactions that come to mind is our project with DMPED 8th and O. That was a classic example of where policies definitely conflict with underwriting, and we had to work with not just with DMPED but with the city council to help tweak the 10-801 law such that the project can move forward. So that's an example of how things work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the process of creating dynamic change. Obviously, we're at a moment of dynamic change, and I want to encourage again all the development folks, all the participants, the CBEs, to lean into this work and then engage directly with the agencies as we all work our way through the next phase of what the district's going to be. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists. You heard about some of the magnificent opportunities that came to fruition, Spring Flats, Parcel 42. What's the next Spring Flats? What's the next Parcel 42? We're now going to hear about some opportunities from our agency partners, from DMPED, to give you a little bit of a teaser of what's coming out next, what those projects might be. So I want to bring up to the stage first the Director of Strategic Initiatives at DMPED's real estate team, Gilles Stucker.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we're going to talk a little bit about one of the current RFPs that's out on the street. So Layla and Boo had talked a lot about innovation, working with the district government to cut your teeth, to grow as a developer, and this is a great opportunity with the Chevy Chase Civic Site RFP. So the request for proposals is out right now. The site is currently the home to the Chevy Chase Neighborhood Library and the Chevy Chase Community Center. The new development will require that both the community center and library are redeveloped with housing. The development parcel is in Ward 3 on Connecticut Avenue. And as part of this development, we did an our RFP. So folks have talked about an our RFP, and what that is, it's a way where we engage the community early and incorporate community preferences into the RFP itself. So we had a lot of robust discussion with the community, and we came out with 7 different community preferences, 3 of which I'd like to highlight today. One was open space for the site. This site, the community wanted proposals that would seek creative ways to ensure the maximum amount of open space through incorporation of at-grade open space, accessible rooftops, terraces, and other inclusive outdoor gathering spaces. The community also wanted to see a world-class library and community center. Drawing from both hyperlocal and global best practices, the facility should set the standard for co-located civic integration and engagement. Co-located, which is interesting here. We have an opportunity to have 2 district agencies co-located at the same location. And third, housing. Proposals should thoughtfully integrate as much housing as possible across a broad range of affordability levels, while preserving open space that ensures that designs respect the neighborhood context and reflect other community preferences. So thank you to ANC 34G, ANC Chair Lisa Gore, and Councilmember Matthew Fruman for their efforts to have an ongoing discussion with the community about the future of the site. And is Lisa here by chance? If you are, can you raise your hand? Are you here? She's on her way. If you see Lisa when she comes in, I'm happy to introduce you to her. She's a good resource to get the community's pulse on what the community wants to see at the site. If potential respondents have questions about the RFP, there is a portal on the DEMPED website where you can ask questions and we can respond to those questions in real time on a rolling basis. And also, the RFP itself, it originally was going to be, submission due date was April the 18th. We've just extended that until June the 18th to give developers more time to put their proposals together. So DEMPED's March Madness is a prime opportunity to meet professionals who are also interested in forming teams to submit RFP proposals. As you meet with colleagues today and make new connections, please consider the opportunity that this RFP presents. Deputy Mayor Nina Albert and the DEMPED team, as well as our agency partners at Department of Parks and Rec and Department of Libraries, are really excited to see what responses come back as part of this RFP to provide not only a new library and community center, but also housing and affordable housing in Ward 3. So with that, I'd like to introduce Delano Hunter, the Director of the Department of General Services. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Delano Hunter, and I'm proud to serve as the Director of the D.C. Department of General Services. And I want to begin, of course, by thanking Mayor Bowser for her leadership. And also I want to congratulate the DEMPED team and Deputy Mayor Nina Albert. March Madness has become a tradition. Of the 10 years, I think I've participated maybe in 9. And I look forward to this every year to showcase all of the wonderful economic development opportunities that we have here in the city. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Department of General Services, our mission is to build, maintain, and sustain the government of the District of Columbia's real estate portfolio, and it seems to grow by the day. Over 840 buildings, 35 million square feet, and thousands of acres of green space. In fact, it's the equivalent to nearly 750 White Houses. So we're really proud of our work, and in order to do that, I'm going to highlight some of our capital projects. There are 332 active capital projects across all 8 wards, and they run the gamut. We're talking about generator and roof replacements at our fire stations and our police stations, and on the other end, you have the Cedar Hill Regional Medical Hospital, which will be transformational in the Great Ward 8. So I'm going to highlight just 8 here that I want you to learn a bit about. This first facility is the FEMS and OSSI Fleet Facility in Ward 8. in DC Village. This will be nearly 455,000 square feet. And it's really important. You can see the specs, so I won't read the specs, but what's really important about this, the DC Fire Department, or FEMS, they're one of the busiest in the nation, and they need a world-class facility to maintain their fleet, as well as will be a combined facility with the Office of the State Superintendent for Education. They have hundreds of buses to transport our kids, and this will go a long way. Next slide. Next to Blair Shelter Modernization, this $7 million project. Look out for this RFP this spring. It's really important for our unhoused and vulnerable residents that they have a quality place to stay as they make their transition into permanent supportive housing. Next, Whittier Elementary School. I think a world-class education starts with world-class educators and also world-class facilities. We're really excited. This will meet the DC education specs, and also it's slated to be a net zero facility, a $65 million project. We're targeting a summer 27 completion, and look for this RFP this spring. In that same vein, Hart Middle School, fall of 27. This will be a $115 million project, and look for this RFP to be released this summer. All right, we're not just vertical, we do horizontal work as well. This is one such example. On 1900 Massachusetts Avenue, we're doing a storm line relocation project. We are replacing a 72-inch wide sewer line that runs underneath the parcels. This has a budget of $10 million, and look out for this RFP this spring. Wilson Building, we're just one block away. This is an historic facility, and we have HVAC upgrades that are planned. This $22 million project will be released this summer. We want to keep that building in good working order as the district's city hall. All right, one of my favorite, as a Parks and Rec alum, the Rumsey Aquatic Center in the heart of Eastern Market. This historic facility is long overdue for upgrades. There's a $20 million project to expand this pool and facility, and we are targeting a spring 24 RFP completion for design build services. All right, Randall Recreation Center, another DPR facility. The theme here is growth and expansion. The goal here is to expand the outdoor pool from 25 to 50 meters, and also to make upgrades to the historic facility, which actually used to be the city's dog pound, believe it or not, 60 or 70 years ago. So we're really excited about this project as well. Be on the lookout. It has a $12 million budget, and it'll be released this spring. Okay, all right, so this is just a little more where you can find information about our projects. I'm joined by my DGS colleagues, if you can wave your hand there. And if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them at the conclusion of this meeting. So with that being said, now I introduce the director of the DC Department of Parks and Recreation, and that's Steenie Freeman. Let's give her a hand.
Good glorious afternoon. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Mayor Bowser, for this March Madness and the opportunity to showcase some of the phenomenal things and projects that are coming down the pipeline. As my predecessor of DPR and now director of DGS said, there's so many projects coming, and I was delighted to see some of our projects showcased on the screen. What's interesting is we ride around town and we see many buildings, but we also see green space. And did you know that 900 acres of that green space belongs to the DC Parks and Recreation? So give it up for the green space that is ours. There's 243 sites, 104 playgrounds, 80 recreation facilities, and more than 50 aquatic facilities and features, including spray parks. So we are just proud of our inventory. Last week I had an opportunity to spend time in Denver at the Directors Conference, and everyone said, how does DC do it? And we do it by activities and activations just like this, where we bring together conveners in spaces and they can see opportunities. So I just want to talk about a couple of the projects that we have. It was mentioned earlier, and I just want to solidify and reiterate that we have the #1 park system in the nation for 3 years in a row. #1 park system in the nation. Since we're talking about March Madness and tournaments and champions being in town, why not recognize the ones that are already here in your DC Department of Parks and Recreation? So our first project is Harry Thomas, located at 1743 Lincoln Road in the heart of Ward 5. The project background is we will use the existing facility, and it will be demolished and replaced with a new state-of-the-art recreation center that also serves patrons and visitors with an outdoor pool. And so DGS is working to release the design build this spring. The next one is Parkview Recreation Center located in Ward 1. The Parkview Recreation Center has served the community well, but we recognize it is time for new. And so with the new $12.3 million investment, the mayor has set aside in our capital budget, DGS and DPR are working together to put out an RFP solicitation to hire a design build team for this project as well. This new facility will maximize DPR's programmatic and recreational offerings in our Ward 1 community, and this will also be released this spring. Last but not least, today, Upshur Recreation Center, one of those beautiful green spaces that we talked about. The campus was originally developed in the 1950s and is ripe for renovation by way of $19 million to include on the campus a small recreation center and an upgrade to the pool house that will be completely demolished and replaced with a new multi-purpose facility in the beautiful Ward 4. DGS, on behalf of DPR, is working to put together a RFP, and this will also be issued this spring. I'd like to take the time to acknowledge Brent Cisco and the capital projects team at DPR. Brent, please stand, wave your hand. If you're available, if you'd like to speak, to have some comments, please see us on the side. And as we continue, please continue to keep in touch with DPR and follow us in all things. And at this time, I'd like to bring up Teeson Malik from DDOT. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Teeson Malik, and I'm really excited to be talking about the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program on behalf of the District Department of Transportation. So the NEVI program is part of the, sorry, I'm really short. The NEVI program is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, and the district is receiving $16.7 million over 5 years. The purpose of this program will be to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles and create a reliable network of EV charging stations to lower. Can you hear me now? Great. So yeah, the district is receiving $16.7 million over 5 years under the bipartisan infrastructure law. And the purpose of this program will be to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles and create a reliable network of charging stations to reduce range anxiety for drivers. And also to meet climate goals within the district by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So the NEVI requirements are installing level 3 direct current fast chargers along no more than 1 travel mile from an alternative fuel corridor, which is designated by federal highways within the national highway system. And DDOT has created the site mapping tool to show eligible locations to install these charging stations. DDOT is giving preference to locations near grocery stores, libraries, restaurants, and amenities so customers can go and shop or visit and run errands while their vehicle is being charged. Other requirements for NEVI are that these charging stations need to have 4 ports and simultaneously charge 4 electric vehicles, and be publicly available 24/7 with an uptime greater than 97% and contactless payment methods. And if you would like to learn more about the potential sites for NEVI, you can visit our program website on the screen. DDOT is publishing the request for applications on March 29th, so later this month, and we are also hosting a virtual public meeting on the 28th of this month to target potential site hosts and let them know of this grant opportunity, and also connect applicants with potential site hosts. The applications will be due to DDOT May 24th this year, and this summer we will evaluate applications and begin awarding grants by fall 2024, and the first chargers will be open by 2025. And if you have any questions about NEVI, feel free to email me or visit our program website on the screen. Thank you.
All right, well, I get the distinct privilege of closing us out. We have come to the end of another March Madness. 10 years in, 10 years strong. Thank you all for spending time with us this morning. I'm just really glad that we were able to share both what our vision is, got to hear from some fantastic businesses that are double downing on DC, and as the mayor likes to say, we are here to win. So thank you all. Have a great day.